So I've been commissioner 4 years, and this is the best turnout for any community. And I hear there's more stuck on Alafaya trying to get in.
Yes, they're coming.
So I'm Jennifer Thompson. I'm your county commissioner. I have a couple key people here as well. Everybody in the room is important. But I want you to know certain people that are here so you know who to contact should you need to later, other than the staff that was just introduced. I don't see my team, but I've got, okay, Jason Russo over here. Jason is one of the aides in the county commission office. I've got Susan as well. Susan's over here. Susan and Jason are the people that when you call the office, they're typically the ones answering the telephone, and they're very good. And scary because they're going to have to take the sign-in sheets that you're signing, and if you put your email address, they will have to input every single person in this room, and we will create a database. It might take us a little bit of time, but I've already talked to one or two of the main organizers, and I told them put in a public records request so you'll have the same database as well. So make sure if the sign-in sheets are going around that you fill them out, so that we'll do our best to create the database. It will take us a while, just as an FYI. Then they'll still be filling out the form. And everybody that sends an email to the office or calls, we try to get your email address, and we create a database as well. So all the emails that you've been sending, we have created or started to create a database, so we'll be able to communicate with you should this thing, the applicant decide to move forward. Also, I want to point out in the audience somewhere, we are restricted by the Sunshine Law. Somebody mentioned to me, why isn't the mayor here and why aren't the county commissioners here? We're not allowed to all be in the same room talking about the same issues. That's what the Sunshine Law is. But one of your Commissioner Boyd's aide is here. I'm not going to point her out, make her uncomfortable, but she lives in the neighborhood, so she's here as a resident. So she'll have Commissioner Boyd will have her here as well. So just know that you have one other representative. And then we have a very important individual. He is a volunteer planning commissioner on the LPA, Mr. Pat DeVecchio. I don't see, oh, poor Pat is down here. He volunteers for this. But should it move forward, Pat, it'll go to the LPA first, and Pat will be the commissioner that will have to kind of, he'll be the District 4 representative. So you should get to know Pat or understand that that's his role in this process. So with that, let me just say this. You're the most organized group that I've ever participated in, but I would expect nothing less because I live in East Orlando and have been active in the South Alafaya corridor for years. I think that hopefully it speaks volumes to the applicant. I called the applicant last night and explained to him I don't see, while I respect his right to go through the process, that I don't see any way that they can make this work. We had that conversation. I spoke to the engineer. He's got a good history doing these types of, just any types of projects in Orange County. Their goal is to work with the residents to figure something out. That's the first thing that has to happen, and that's why you're here tonight. I got it. They're going to talk to you. They're going to talk to you, and just like many of your neighbors who have applied for rezonings or zoning variances, you're allowed to do it. They're going through the process because legally they're allowed to do it. I think you hear them out, but I told them this would be a straight uphill battle. So we'll let them go through the process, and if they decide to move forward, you guys will mobilize. We will all work together in understanding the entire, every side of the story. It'll go to Pat's board at LPA first, and then it'll come, maybe, possibly, it would come to my board. And I don't take lightly that you re-elected me, hopefully because you trusted that I did a darn good job those first 4 years, and I've gotten that. I think I covered everything. I hope I got my point across. You know, I do my best to look at every side of the situation. This is a straight uphill battle, so I'm glad you're here.
I'm going to give you a condensed version of the process because I know you guys are here for a little bit
different type of form of information. But if the application continues, what happens is, because it's a large-scale future land use map amendment, there's a number of 4 hearings total. There's a set of 2 hearings for what's called transmittal, and that the first transmittal hearing goes to the local planning agency, which is the board that Commissioner DeVecchio sits on. That board then makes a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. That first public hearing is scheduled on December 18th at 9 a.m. After that, the next public hearing is the hearing before the Board of County Commissioners. That hearing is scheduled for January 27th at 2 p.m. It's at 201 South Roslyn in the Orange County Administration Center in the chambers. So that information is on the community meeting notice. It's also posted on the website. And of course, I know several of you have had the pleasure of speaking with Jenny, and she's given you a lot of good information. So her number's on here as well, and you can reach any of us, and we'll answer any questions that you may have. With that being said, I'll turn it over to the applicant, and they'll give you a little more information about what they're requesting.
We're not surprised by that, but we are pleased to be here and have the chance to talk to you. My name is Jim Pratt. I'm an attorney with Burr Foreman. I represent the applicant. As Nikki just explained, this is an application to have the future land use map changed for properties that now comprise the golf course and related facilities from low-density residential and from parks and recreation to low-density residential, parks and recreation, commercial, and institutional education. That application has been prompted primarily by the declining, failing golf industry in America. This is a golf course that has lost money for 2 years. Which is evidence of a nationwide trend.
Hello, everyone. We would like to, we're here for this meeting. We understand your frustrations. We have to, you made it, but we have to, everybody has a due process, and we need to continue with the meeting. It will take longer if the applicant is interrupted to then get to public comment. So if we could flow through the applicant's presentation, that then will allow you more time to provide your feedback. Thank you.
Here's a clear target for you, I guess. Nationwide, this past year, over 160 golf courses net have failed. In the last 8 years, almost 650 golf courses have failed. In the last year, there has been a net decline in golfers in this country in the last year of 400,000 golfers. That is, those are aspects of this industry that this owner is trying to deal with. And unfortunately, those trends affect him and they affect you.
Why did he buy?
This application is hopefully going to initiate discussions so that the golf course and the residents can determine a good way to repurpose this golf course. Because the facts are what they are, and they can't be ignored, they can't be avoided, and so it is the applicant's sincere hope that there will be a constructive conversation about it. And if there is, then it may be that we can come up with something that is satisfactory to the residents and still does not compel this owner to continue losing money on a golf course. And so I have with me representatives and consultants for the developer, consultants from June Engineering who are civil engineers, and also Jeff McNeil, who is an urban planner. And I'm going to turn some time over to them. They can provide some of the details, and then we'll go from there.
Again, thank you all for coming. My name is Randy June with June Engineering, and we do understand the emotions. The owner came to us. We also develop land. He came to us trying to put together a team. He didn't go outside the community. He stayed in the community. We didn't take the job and the task lightly and overnight. We studied the issue, studied the problem, saw that it's a real problem. He seemed like a good person. He's been great to us so far. I don't know the history with you folks, but the message we've been sent here with is to figure out how to save the golf course. John Pepper, the application in hand, the way it's structured. We have to submit an application, and it's full-blown from the standpoint of the PUD that was submitted years ago. And we have to start at the upper end of where we want to work with a project and whittle our way down. I know it's submitted as 304 lots. There's been no thought of 304 lots in the project. But in order to put all the way down to one lot, we have to submit an application that maxes it out, so to speak, with a PUD. The land use that's proposed, the whole eastern portion of the property right now is already land use for low-density residential. So we submitted an application for the western portion of the property. But again, the owners sent us here to save the golf course. That's his message, loud and clear. And that's all he said to us. So we just want to pass that on to you because our mission from here is to work on what that plan could be. We reached out to the HOA. We've only had limited discussion with residents, which I think has been productive. We've had a bunch of good questions. I hope we had a bunch of good answers. John Caparella, he's one of the managing partners. And they own many golf courses. I know it's been said that he bought it to merely develop it. He's told us otherwise. He's got a history of 50 or more golf courses and has yet to develop one that we found out or that he said. So, again, the message we're being sent here with is let's get to work. Let's figure it out. If it's going to fail, let's prevent it from failing. That's our mission. So, I mean, appreciate y'all coming. I'm scared to death. I'm an engineer, not a public speaker, as you can see. You know, we thought didn't think we'd have this many people, obviously. This process is 7 months long. I mean, the final decision, if it made it through, would not happen until next summer sometime. You guys have absolutely, that message has been sent loud and clear. We're going to fight it to the end, and we're going to sue, and we understand that, but we still can't. Because we want to deliver the message that we're here to help you guys save the golf course and do something the community's proud of. To dispel some of the rumors, we tried to research everything. Jeff's a community planner. Him and I got in a room. We were very active in Horizon West in West Orange County. I was one of the founding fathers in the early 90s. Jeff's carried us through that project. And we had workshops. Started out with a bunch of people, not quite this many. And Jeff and I kind of went through a laundry list of what we had historically that people thought made a community. We contacted the school. We know there's school issues out here and they need a school siding. And let me finish. We contacted the school board, thinking schools, and they have said no through the process. We contacted the Parks Department. because soccer, baseball, we hear is a deficiency to have those fields around here. So we contacted the Parks Department. And we hear you loud and clear. We hear you loud and clear. And that's what we're here about. If it's to save the golf course, we got to figure out a financial way to do that. And the only thing we were proposing with the development was to reduce that financial demand or burden, such that whatever we come up financially to save the golf course, if that was the ultimate goal, was to do that. So that being said, I don't know where how we go from here. We want to answer some questions tonight because we have a bunch of rows. The biggest goal we wanted, again, not to reiterate, but was we're here standing here to come up with a way to save the golf course.
Good evening, everyone. I was asked by Janie Nelson, the president of your HOA, who couldn't be here tonight to say a few words. My name is Jim Herborn. I've been a resident of East Orlando, or East Orange, since 2003. And hold your booze, I'm a real estate developer, okay? Hold on, I'm on your side, I got the little button, it's okay. I've built everything from apartments to industrial to shopping centers. The attorney has, he's on the other side. I know emotions are running high, but let's be adults and let's get through this. With that being said, I take exception to some of these things. Mr. Garchik, who is the principal owner, is a very seasoned developer. He's been doing this for a long time with the Evans Group, SJM, and he knew exactly what he was getting, and if he didn't know what he was getting, he's not a very good developer, because as a developer, when I put something under contract, I do due diligence. And the declarations clearly show that the golf course is to remain a golf course forever. With that being said, he should either kill his attorneys or he made a bad decision, because the title policies would show that the declaration says that regardless of whether it's sold or not, in perpetuity, it is to remain a golf course for the purposes of conservation and green space. So, the second thing is the developer normally should not be allowed to commit waste. I am not a golfer, but I have been out on the golf course. It doesn't look that good. And since I have participated in the development of almost 100 golf courses, so I think I know which one looks good and which doesn't. But I will tell you that it does not appear from the purchase forward, a lot of money was invested. If you're going to buy a golf course and turn it around, it takes money to redevelop that course and to market it and to maintain it. With all that being said, real estate development is about making money. That's all it is. It's not personal. It's about making money. And with that, if we want to beat this, we have to make this so financially punishing that it's not going to do this. And we're going to be looking at lawsuits, and the county's going to have to be very careful what the county does here, because the county, over the years, has been a bit schizophrenic about its arbitrary and capricious zoning rules, and we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen here. I appreciate Commissioner Thompson coming out here. It's not a comfortable place to be. We all elected her. I voted for her. But understand, she can vote no, and all the other commissioners can vote yes, and you still got to live with it. So you need to get on the phone to the other commissioners. You need to let them know. You need to let Mayor Jacobs know that this is not going to stand. And if the developer wants to continue to move forward after seeing this, then bring it on.
My name is Casey Saxon. I'd like to start off, I can't say it's a pleasure, but I would like to thank you, Mr. Pratt. and your client for bringing an already very strong community even closer together. And next, I would like to ask a question. Mr. June, you mentioned that OCPS had determined that Eastwood was not a good site for a school. Mr. Pratt, what date did you get that information? If I could ask, my guess is it was greater than a week and a half ago. I'm holding in my hand a letter from the Orange County Public School System, written by Daryl Flynn to our president of our board. Orange County Public Schools is not now, nor ever has been a party to the application submitted to Orange County government to change the land use category for the Eastwood Golf Course. We do not consider this site to be an appropriate location for an Avalon Middle Relief School. So my question then is, on this hearing notice that went out, why was it stated, discussions with Orange County Public Schools and the Orange County Parks and Recreation Division are currently in progress? I appreciate the enthusiasm, and you guys are right. But let's be aware, discussions were underway, okay? We just didn't know the content of those discussions. So let's all be aware as a community going forward to read the fine print that's put out by this group. Yes? Yes. Next, I'd like to address the portion of the land change that suggests a park. I had the opportunity to speak with Matt Sudemeyer, the manager of Orange County Parks and Recreation, and what he told me is that if this is passed as a park, the rezoning, it will be rezoned for a public park. It's not going to be the small little private park that we're used to behind Sunrise Elementary. What comes with a public park? What else? Crime and traffic. Are those congruent with our neighborhood? All right. There are people who you really can't kick out of public space. We know that there are loitering laws, but how often do you see them enforced? Is that congruent with our community? I think that we've made our message pretty clear, and I'd like to say thank you very much to County Commissioner Thompson for coming out, for all of your support. For the support of your staff. Jenny Dubois in particular has been amazing. Most patient woman I've ever spoken with. If I could please, all of those who oppose this rezoning, please stand. Jim has been wonderful enough to come in and speak on our behalf at Janie's request. Thank you, Jim. And as he mentioned, while we do have Commissioner Thompson's support, it is a board of 7 commissioners. They meet every week, request to be at those meetings. You can walk in, sign a card, go in, and let them know that you are a voter. And that how they vote on this issue will influence how you vote in the future. Commissioner Thompson, can we count on you to take our message back to your fellow commissioners? Fantastic. And I'll close by asking you to repeat after me. I vote.
My name is Joe Flood. I live at 124 Winghurst on the golf course. And I'm not a lawyer for these proceedings, but I am an attorney. 4 of my partners live in our neighborhood, many on the golf course. This is a lawyer's dream to talk to this many people. And I guess I'll start off by saying, are any of you as confused as me? Because are you withdrawing your request now? Are you going to put a red shirt on and sing at the golf course? Because that's sort of the way it seemed to me. I still am not really sure what the proposal is that's going forward now. Certainly if there is some partnership, that in some way that we can all get together and save the golf course, I think that'd be a great idea. Again, I also want to thank Commissioner Thompson, and I want to follow up maybe from a little bit of a lawyer's perspective, a different perspective to what Jim said, that what this really is about is a show of power, a show of force, and boy, have we done that tonight. And making things so uncomfortable for everybody that there's just no way that it can go forward. And I want to bring a couple points out. The first point is for the county, and I think it's really important that the county planners understand this. Probably they do, and I'm sure they have lawyers who do. But if you're like me and I live on the golf course, and there's hundreds of homes on the golf course, probably like you were charged a premium to buy that lot. And we have vested rights that can't be taken away without being compensated. And there are claims, there are takings claims, and there's a law, not a lot of people know about it, called the Burt-Harris Law, that allows property owners, when governments take actions that burden their property, to sue the government for compensation. That includes an award of attorney's fees. Now, I paid a $25,000 premium to buy the lot that, by the way, I had scoped out for more than a year to get right of first refusal. It was the parking lot for the Cambridge models. And we finally, they made that available, and we got it, and we paid that premium. Multiply that, I don't know how many lots there are on the golf course, I haven't counted, but times 200. That's 200 claims that the county's going to have to face. That $25,000 is 10 years ago. That's probably, just with inflation interest, $50,000 today. That's 200 claims at $50,000 a claim, plus attorney's fees, Commissioner Thompson, that your county is going to have to foot if this thing goes through. So that's something to keep in mind for the county. And something for you folks, and it sounds like our developer is all over this, but I'm looking at the declaration, the declarations of covenants and restrictions, Article 11, Section 2. Jurisdiction and cooperation. It is the declarant's the developer, intention that the association and the country club, and like this. All right, this is the declaration of restrictions. It's the declarant's intention that the association and the country club, which is defined in the definition section as the golf club, shall cooperate to the maximum extent possible in the operation of the properties and the country club. Each shall reasonably assist the other in upholding community-wide standards pertaining to maintenance and common scheme of development. I don't think they're cooperating with us right now to the maximum extent possible. And the HOA should file, if this goes forward, should file a lawsuit seeking an injunction, and as a lawyer, I'm telling you, we win.
If golf is in decline nationwide, why are they opening a golf course in Daytona?
These guys came here for a discussion, so I'm going to ask them some questions and they better answer. I want to know why your client thinks he has a right to completely ignore this document and even has the audacity to try and go through a planning process. And I'd like that answered directly.
The client is not ignoring the deed restrictions.
On what basis is he going to try and argue that that's not clear as day? A third grader can read it.
I'm not going to discuss that here.
I think we should. Calm down, calm down. I also want to know, I want to know that why it was done the way it was done. If you guys were here to have a discussion and try and make a golf course profitable, you could have engaged the homeowners association at any point in time. You had the general manager of both golf courses, who general manages Stony Brook, Eastwood, and North Shore, sitting on the board of directors for Eastwood, and I want to know why there wasn't any discussion then if you truly just want to have a discussion about making a golf course profitable.
That's why we're here tonight. Discussion. The discussion has to start sometime. I understand the emotions. We're not here for approval tonight. If we're close to approval, it'll be 7 months from now. From now to 7 months, if it's decided we're going to do absolutely nothing, we'll do absolutely nothing. But we're here to ask you all, what do we do to save the golf course? That's the question. I understand the emotions. It's not going to be constructive. I mean, that's why we want to form a committee, we want to talk about it. If there's nothing we can do, there's nothing we can do. I understand the emotions. We have to start somewhere, and this is a huge start. But unless we communicate,
I got a few more things to say. I find it hard to believe when you say you want to have a discussion that the discussion is, let's try and get 7 commissioners to vote this through while nobody's paying attention and send them something in a week and a half. But let me tell you something. In a week and a half, this community's got 3,000 signatures that I'd like to hand to Jennifer Thompson right now that says, go find another community to try and develop. Because I don't think you understand that the people in this room, well, I think it speaks, I don't need to beat a dead horse, but I'm trying to find out if you want to have a discussion, you know, there's plenty of ways to make this golf course profitable if they wanted to have a discussion. The only discussion they want to have is, please county, how many homes are we allowed to rezone? Let's start here and try and build here. I told one of your developers on the phone earlier this week, build a gym and charge the HOA $20 a month. We'll give you $250,000 in revenue a freaking year if you want. I mean, those are options that are not being discussed, and you can't say they're being discussed when you file to rezone an entire golf course.
I'm Jeff McNeil. I'm an urban planner and designer, and my job in life is to build communities. So I appreciate the fact that you've got a community together the way you do. That's a great thing. In deference to the commissioner and to the others, can you hear me now? I'll just stay close.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. I'll go back. As a planner and designer, I'm concerned about community. That's my mission in life, is about building community, and you've obviously built a great community because it really takes a relationship to do it. And so you come tonight because of relationship, because of emotion, because of concern about what the future is, and we fully accept that. Let me talk about the process. It's not fair to the commissioner to put her in that situation where she sees a lot of people and a lot of discussions. The point is that, first off, that to start the process, you have to file an application. And so that application, the first step in the application process for this type of use change is a future land use amendment. And so what you see on the boards to the side, the colored bright ones, are the existing future land use map for this area of the county. And the reason I'm saying that, there is no plan. We do not have a physical plan for the property to show you tonight or talk about. And some people have said, well, why don't you bring a plan to the table and show us? Because the first step for us is relationship of understanding what the issues are, and we're hearing them. We obviously went through lots of questions the staff been receiving, and we're not, let me finish my discussion. The process, the first step in the process is a community meeting. What we had desired to do is to begin the process with a community meeting and then move into some what we'll call task force or group meetings of people that represent you that can come to the table and talk about what the best opportunity, as Randy said, is how to save the golf course. Now, the last resort is terms of development. And so how do you deal with that? But our step in the process, go back to that, is we start with a future land use plan amendment. We have to file an application to start that process. Doesn't mean that we continue. It doesn't mean that it ultimately gets approved. The commissioner does not have purview over that until it comes before the county commission for the first transmittal hearing. So as you heard Nikki say, you have a transmittal hearing. You then have, a transmittal hearing before the local planning agency. Then you have a transmittal hearing before the Board of County Commissioners. Then you have once that's been reviewed in detail from a land use and compatibility question and all the other questions that you have, it comes back to the local planning agency in May, I believe, and that's for final adoption or denial. And then it goes to the board in June for final adoption or denial. So in the step of the planning process to arrive at a plan, if we go that direction as opposed to other financial approach, then we have to sit down together and figure out what the best plan is that we can begin to reach a way of solving the challenges before us as a community. That's what we're here to talk about tonight and ask you to identify your HOA and other leaders who would be willing to come to the table and talk about it. We're not saying you have to agree, we're just saying come to the table and talk about it a little bit. And we have this schedule to work with. We can decide to move forward or not move forward, but this is the first step. It is not an attempt to blindside you. We understand the emotion aspect of this. We understand that there's a process involved. It is not the commissioner's responsibility to tell us that we can or can't move forward at this time, or the staff's responsibility as to what the developer or the manager of the golf course might or choose to do. That's going to be his decision. So we're bringing that back to them so they can understand what the direction is, what your issues and concerns are. And I know some of you don't like to talk in public. If there's a comment sheet back in the back, if you want to write comments on the back, please feel free to do so. We're try to listen to everything that you've said. And certainly I've been writing as fast as I can. Thank you.
Okay. Several residents from Stony Brook are here tonight because we heard that our Eastwood neighbors were in trouble. If you're in trouble, we're in trouble. If they take our golf course, your golf course, they're going to take our golf course. So we want to know how long is it going to be before you move on down the road to Stony Brook. The next question I want to ask, if it's losing money, are you willing to sell the golf course at the fair market value? Has that been considered?
We've started the discussions. More than willing to sell the golf course. The last gentleman mentioned, participation. That's what we're looking for. And we may not, but we're here to ask.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Vidal, and I am one of your Stony Brook residents. My background, I am a licensed landscape architect, a planner, and a golf architect. I've been doing this for 40 years, and Mr. Pratt, everything you said in your opening statement is false. The golf industry is not failing. I get so tired of developers saying that every day. It is an owner that failed us. I sit on the 15th hole at Stony Brook East, and I bought my property back in 2008, and when that property was bought in 2010 by your client, I have seen deterioration of that golf course since day one. Over the last 4 years, as a golf architect and a planner, I have offered your boss or your client 3 times to offer assistance on how to make that golf course condition better by reducing cost, and I have yet to hear from him. So don't stand up here and tell me tonight that you want to talk to us, because your client has not approached me one bit. So I'm going to offer you tonight, I'll give you my card. Let's talk and let's keep a golf course here, okay?
Gentlemen, I have sat here and watched you constantly talk to one another and smile and joke, and this is no laughing matter to us. This is our community.
We don't mean to be disrespectful, and we don't consider this a laughing matter.
But you were.
In fact, well then we apologize. That was not the intent. And I think that if anyone understands this is serious, we do.
My name is Dennis Hill. I'm a resident of King Point in Eastwood. I came to Orange County in November of 1962. I've been a resident of Orange County for 52 years. I've seen my share of growth. And if I was opposed to growth, I would have been gone a long time ago. But I oppose uncontrolled growth. And that's what this proposal is. I need to tell you who these people are in this room tonight. They're hard-working people. They go to work every day. They've started businesses. They've created jobs. They pay their taxes. They vote. They become involved and lead civic organizations. They have raised or are raising children to become law-abiding, productive citizens. We take care of our property. And when our roads fail, we're starting to fail, we fix them with our own money. And what did we get for it? We get this proposal. This proposal that would be a horrendous hit on our property values. What did we do to deserve this? Nothing is right. This proposal is not controlled growth, but it's uncontrolled growth. So why are we even here? We do not need this proposal. And we don't want this proposal. So join us and tell the developer to get out of our backyard. And take his proposal somewhere else. This proposal is total, uncontrolled growth.
Here said that one of the reasons that they want to get rid of the golf course was because of the national economy, and in the past 2 years they've lost money. What this is golf courses, and these are all Eastwood, reviews on Eastwood, Yelp.com, WorldGolf.com, GolfNow.com, with reviews going back to 2006, where they were talking about it being a good golf course. But in the past 4 to 5 years from these reviews, the course has been unmaintained, and the reviews are saying it in these reviews here. So the fact that all of these reviews are here, they should have known it. If they didn't, they are very poor businessmen for not doing their research. I don't even play golf, and yet I did the research and I found it. And for goodness sake,
I have a question. First of all, where is the owner? Why isn't he here? Sorry? Why couldn't he be here tonight? He knew about this, right? That's one question. Another question I have, if golf is going so badly, why is he buying all these golf courses? Call me stupid, but I don't get it. That's not the right answer, and you know it. He just wants to fill his own pockets.
A couple questions for you guys. I'm sure economically they are paying you a significant amount of money, correct? And other attorneys that you've got to tie up everywhere in the county and throughout Central Florida, would I be correct in saying that? Is there money associated with that, yes or no? There's no money, so you're not paying them anything. You just shook your head no. You're not paying them any money? Yes. Okay, why don't you take that money and redirect it if you want to save the golf course and put it in maintenance fees and maintain it? Why don't you do that if you really want to do something? That's not
But I know you can't answer. I actually have a background in public administration and urban planning as well from University of Central Florida, so I know you can't and maybe won't answer this question at this time because you don't have the ability to do that. But some comments you made earlier this evening, and you mentioned that you were looking for a way to work with the community and to raise some money. Translated to me, that means that you're looking for a way to transfer some of the losses the golf course has onto the association and charge assessments to the homes in order for them to keep their golf course open, as opposed to threatening them in a rezoning issue and tying it up in lawsuits. I know you can't answer that, but before you bring a plan back to this community to save this golf course, please do not look to rely on the backs of the homeowners and their association who dearly want to keep this course in order to do that through extra fees and assessments. And Ms. Thompson, I voted for you and I like you a lot, and I'm going to tell you right now, the county better impact fee the living daylights out of these people if they get that rezoned, please. To help support this community. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Mark Stedman and I'm a resident of Marion Point, and I have a question for the consultants. How many rounds of golf were played at Eastwood in 2013 or this year?
I don't know.
How can you not know how many rounds of golf were played if you're doing an analysis of the profitability of the course? How many rounds of golf do you need every year to make the course profitable? Because I am a golfer and I believe that having a profitable golf course is better for our neighborhood than having it go bankrupt.
A big giant piece of paper. Write down a few things if you have any comments that haven't been addressed. And I'm going to give it to Jim. It's been a blast, guys. I will be here if you need us, call us.
Hey guys, just one more thing before we head out. I want to thank Commissioner Thompson for being here and taking the bullets. I actually think the developer reps, you guys took it on the chin. You know, this is how it is. I know it's not personal, it's a job, so don't take it personal one way or the other. But what I'd like to remind everybody is that we got caught with our pants down because we've never been organized. And what I'd like to ask you to do is I handed some things out for the EOCDC. I'd like you guys for us to get together as a community so we can fend this off if it ever happens again. And I know I'm a little premature, but I'm making an announcement. We are going to commence our municipal and corporation feasibility studies and look into turning ourselves into our own city so we can keep our tax dollars home, we can be the architects of our own future, and we can govern our own tax dollars.